Hey y'all, it's West Virginia History with Mrs. B, and I am with you on episode 8, and that is talking about the judging process at the fairs. So remember, you got to get at least a 90. You want to get the top score so you can get that blue ribbon and you can move on from school fair, county fair, regional fair to the state fair. You want to be the best of the best. And the best of the best is by making sure you get absolutely every single point out of the Social Studies Fair scorecard. You can download that scorecard off of wvssfair.com. It is super helpful in creating your project. I use it with every student. That should drive everything that you do. So if you look at that card, you'll see that at the top, the abstract and the research methods are the most points at the top. They're worth 40 points. And so it basically restates all of the questions from the abstract, and you can get between 0 and 5 from the judges for each of those. It mentions your abstract should be free from grammatical, punctuation, and spelling errors. The abstract itself is no longer than 3 pages plus the biography. So you want to make sure that you are hitting 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, because you got to get at least a 90. And so if you get 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 in that category, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you get a straight 4s, the highest you're going to get on your project is a 92. So it's really important that you get 5, 5, 5. All right, that your bibliography is right, that there's no grammar issues, that you are answering every question fully on the abstract, so you get all of the points, because that's the highest amount of points. The second highest amount of points is oral presentation. And so it starts with the first bullet says for 0 out of 5, your intro catches the attention. That's why you want to have that hook, and you want to make sure you're stating your purpose of your process, a purpose of your project, aka your thesis. Be clear from the very beginning what you're trying to convey. You want to make sure your presentation's organized, it's stylistic, that if it's groups, you go back and forth between individuals in your group, and that everybody's speaking equally, that you're limited use of notes. You might have that note card, you're keeping you organized, but for the most part, you can say it without the note card. You want to make sure that you're giving eye contact with your judges and you're communicating with your judges. If your judge seems distracted, get their attention and they'll stick with you. You want to speak clearly, confidently, but not too fast. You want to make sure you have facial expressions, that your body language shows that you want to be there. It's okay to be nervous at the school fair, but get more confident. And that's one thing I love about Social Studies Fair. I've watched students who were super timid, just grow in confidence because they've gotten, through each of these steps of the Social Studies Fair project, and they just grow as human beings, and they're more confident in everything they do because they've been successful in the Social Studies Fair. So make sure you're clear, you're confident, you don't speak too fast, that you are conveying your information. And remember, you're in a room, you could potentially be at the state fair in this giant cavernous space with 350 projects, and it is loud. At any given time, there are lots of people presenting. So you need to be able to speak so people can hear you, everything that you say, and they can hear clearly what you're saying. So you want to make sure that you have a large and strong level of understanding of your project. Again, you want to be the expert. You want to make sure you're using your physical display to talk about your project. So use the pictures, use the charts and graphs, interact with your board. Sometimes people have these cool interact things where they flip things up and stuff. You can do that. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you want to make sure you're using your board to talk about your in your speech. And when you close, you want to make sure you do a summary and that you have a hook there at the end. And there are 5 points for judges' questions. Sometimes they'll ask in-depth questions. A lot of times they're just going to ask you, why did you choose this project? What's the most interesting thing you learned? These are the things I always tell my judges to ask. What's something you would like to pursue in the future, maybe to research. But there's 5 points for answering those questions. So if you don't know the answer, it's okay to say, I don't know the answer. I promise you, it's okay to say that. And then for 25 points of the 100 is your physical display. You want to make sure your display is self-explanatory, that someone can understand your project without you standing there, that your data and your information is arranged coherently so it makes sense, that your display is creative and unique. That's up to 5 points. And of course, that's pretty subjective. I think if it's clear, coherent, it's, catchy, but you don't have to spend a ton of money on it, that's important. They also give points for neatness and that it's free from grammatical, spelling, and punctuation errors. Again, that's where it's important to work with teachers and other people you depend on to help you with the editing process. And that you can use artifacts, charts, photographs, as well as the technology to enhance your display. So if you have pictures playing or you use, like a tablet to display your survey results, that will help you get points. That leads you to your full 100. And again, by the time you get to the state fair, what you're going to find is your blue ribbon's probably going to be a 99, your red ribbon's going to be like a 98, and your white ribbon's going to be a 97. So you want to milk that scorecard for every point. You want to go in every time the judges at any level leave you comments, because what I tell my judges, anything that someone doesn't get a 5 on, you need to explain how they can improve to get 5 points. You need to go through the comments on every card and try to figure out what they're saying and conveying and get as many points out of that card as possible. Okay. Use that scorecard to create your project. Use that scorecard at every level. And I can't suggest this enough. If a judge tells you to fix something, fix it. Like with our social studies fair projects that went to states last year, I think every person but one redid their board at some point. Like there were things that they could fix from their initial board that they did in class to improve. Whether that was things got wrinkly and they needed to fix those. There's nothing wrong with redoing a project or redoing a board or adding a header. You can always improve and get more points, especially as you move up to get to the state level. So you want to engage with your judges. Don't be a deer in headlights. You want to be engaging. Be personable. Put your best foot forward. Make sure you look nice and neat. Your board looks nice and neat. It's okay to have nerves. They know you have nerves because this is a new thing that you're doing. But you want to engage with your judges. Your judges are not the enemy. They want you to do well. They want you to be successful. They know you're doing your very best. And so when it comes to judging, engage as much as you can, be as personable as you can, answer the questions the best that you can. And then once you get their feedback, fix your project before you move on. That's a really big thing about social studies fair, is what you do at the school level doesn't just have to stay that way all the way through. You can continually improve your project each step. So whatever feedback you get, put it into place. If they want you to fix something in your speech, fix it. If they want you to fix your board, fix it. If they give you suggestions to fix your abstract, do it. That is how you're going to be ready to win at states. So I cannot thank you enough for tuning in to these 8 episodes of West Virginia History with Mrs. B, all about how to do a social studies fair project. And again, if you ever have any questions, drop me an email. I'm available to answer your questions. It doesn't matter if you're from my school or my county. If there's questions that you have about social studies fair, drop me an email. I am always available to answer those questions. My email is abarnett, BARNETTE, at boe.jack.k12.w.v.us. I'm here to help you with your social studies fair project. I believe in you. This is a really great thing that you're doing and that you've stuck with me to the end. I really appreciate it. And again, best of luck. You can do this. And just know you're going to be better prepared for college. You're going to be better prepared for life because you tackled something really difficult, and that's called Social Studies Fair. So best of luck, and I hope to see you at States in the future. Take care.